Good evening, and welcome along to the big show here on NVTV. Coming up on the show this evening, we'll be chatting to former Boyzone star Keith Duffy. We'll be finding out what he's getting up to about his latest musical project, and also why he's joined forces with Bowel and Bladder UK. We'll also be chatting to train historian and railway expert Tim Dunn about his brand new TV series. And the British Takeaway Awards took place recently, and we're going to find out which takeaway from Northern Ireland won the best in the country. That's coming up, plus music from Paul Casey as well. Well, starting things off on the show this week, we're going to find out about the Belfast International Arts Festival. It's back, and I'm pleased to say Richard Wakely joins us in the studio. Richard, good to see you, because this time last year we did this, but we had to do it on Zoom.
Absolutely, Robin, and it's so nice to be with you and friends here in the studio in Belfast in person.
So things are getting back to normal, thank God at last. It's good for our arts industry, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a slow, gradual reopening. And I say that because we at the festival, and indeed colleagues throughout the whole arts and events industry, take the safety of our audiences and our artists very seriously. So we're not fully reopening. And the festival this year sort of, I suppose, represents this, reflects this transitional moment. So our programme comprises both live in-person events and also digital online events for those people who feel a little bit more hesitant about going out and want to see and be part of the festival and enjoy works from home and from the safety and comfort of their own homes.
Now, I was at the festival launch at the Lyric Theatre recently, and that was a pretty spectacular morning. I mean, you had Dervish unplugged, performing live in front of us. Those guys are just musical geniuses, aren't they?
They absolutely are, and they absolutely deserve that BBC Radio 2 Folk Award, the Lifetime Achievement Award. You can see that in their performance. They've been together a very long time. They're so comfortable and relaxed with each other. And at the launch, they came on and played acoustically, without any microphones, without any audio enhancement. But they were basically giving us a taste of their very, very special concert that takes place at the Opera House, the Grand Opera House, on 21st of October, which is called The Great Irish Songbook. And it's a celebration of folk music from across the island of Ireland. And to make it very special, Dervish and ourselves have brought them together with a number of special guests. So we have the wonderful Cara Dillon appearing with us. We have the great Eddie Reader from Scotland. We have Glenn Hansard from the south. Our very own Open Arts Community Choir are also making a special guest appearance. Brian Kennedy is joining us on stage as well. It's going to be a wonderful, joyous event. So immediately after the Great Irish Songbook, we have on the 22nd of October, Glenn Hansard doing his first live gig in a long time. It's a one-off. We're so delighted to have him back with us. He's playing on Friday 22nd. And on Saturday 23rd, another very special gig. We're absolutely thrilled to tempt the Ulster Orchestra out of their usual home of the Ulster Hall to play a special gig for us in the Grand Opera House with a very special guest, which is Emer Noon. Now, Emer Noon is a wonderful conductor and composer. She was the first woman to conduct the orchestra at the Oscar ceremony, but she's also known for her, world-beating compositions for video games.
Like Warcraft, which I know nothing about.
World of Warcraft, and this is where we have to hand over to our younger viewers to tell us, to text into you, to write you, to tell us about World of Warcraft. But we're seriously privileged to to have this wonderful evening. So it's going to be slightly different from the usual repertoire of Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff and whatever. This is going to be an evening based around video games music, around film music, put together by the Ulster Orchestra, but with the great Emer Noon. And we decided it needed a much more dramatic environment, to get this across, and that's why we placed it in the Opera House.
Let's talk about some live theatre now, because you're starting off the Lyric with a new show as well, aren't you?
Oh, we're absolutely delighted. Again, the Lyric holds a very special place in the hearts of people from Northern Ireland. It is our de facto national repertory producing theatre company. And this is a new play called The Border Game. And it's a co-production between the Lyric Theatre and Prime Cup Productions. And we're absolutely delighted that we've been able to secure this piece to open the festival this year, and it runs throughout the festival period.
Excellent. Right, what else have we got to look forward to?
Well, there's two very different pieces that are on at the MAC that I want to sort of bring to the attention of your viewers. One is called Uncle Ray, which is a beautiful dance production from Coshcane Dance Theatre, who are based in Dublin. And Uncle Ray is a very heartwarming duet choreographed by David Bolger, which tells the story of his magnificent Uncle Ray. And Uncle Ray was a wonderful dancer and performer back in the early days of Hollywood. And he played the Scarecrow. So he went from vaudeville to Broadway to playing one of the most famous roles, the Scarecrow.
Wow.
And he came to visit David and his family in Dublin once a year.
Wow.
So it's about that story. It's a very beautiful, heartwarming piece, which I actually saw an early workshop of before the pandemic broke. And I saw and I said, I'm absolutely having that. There's another show that comes later that week from Canada, and a very timely one. And this production, Seasick, is therefore very timely indeed. And it's about the health of our oceans and what that means to the health and well-being of the planet and all of those of us who live on the planet. The creator of the work is Alana Mitchell from Canada, and she's a fantastic journalist who's done a lot of investigative journalism and writing about the oceans, the health of the oceans. And she says, the oceans really are a switch to life on this planet, and it's easy to turn that switch off as well as on. And, we have to be very, very cognizant of what we're doing to the world's oceans. And it is a serious subject. But what's so interesting about the production is, there is science in there, but there's a lot of wit in there. Indeed, there's a lot of humour in there. Some of it's quite terrifying at times. But this is a production that was on at Edinburgh, was slated to go to the National Theatre in London, was cancelled because of COVID. So we've got it. We've got it instead. And it's really a must-see. And that's in the MAC Theatre in a social distance manner on the 16th and 17th of October.
OK, we look forward to that. We've got time to squeeze in one more highlight. What are you going to go for?
Oh, there's just too many. And indeed, viewers, you've got to go to our website, www.Belfast International Arts Festival, for all your cultural needs this coming autumn. But I am going to end with a free event, because we believe in access, we believe in inclusivity, we believe in taking work outside the big cultural citadels of the Lyric and the Opera House to our neighbourhoods. So we've got a free programme of contemporary circus over in C.S. Lewis Square, which is in the east of the city. And that will take place also on the 16th and 17th of October. And it has our Moroccan friend, Saïd Moussine, is coming over especially to do a beautiful piece of work called Routine. It's a sort of an acrobatic comedy piece. And it's in a double bill with another work called Roll Up, Roll Up, which mixes hip hop and those great big sort of hula hoop things. And very acrobatic, hugely entertaining for all the family. Don't be a stranger, people. Come and join us.
And do check out the website, belfastinternationalartsfestival.com. That's the one. Richard, the best of luck with the festival. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Right, we mentioned him earlier on, so let's have a live track from our good friend, Brian Kennedy. her stories and the heart, like a moment in the dark. Margaret Barry broke my heart. Margaret Barry stole my breath with a banjo against her breast. Let the candles sing a prayer like a crowd of stars in her hair. On your face another time I can trace every line runs me through like a knife. I think I've known you all my life. Oh. Margaret Barry has gone away, but her voice still wrecks my day like a murder in the park. Margaret Barry broke my heart. 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 Margaret married the clear air, rode her bicycle everywhere. Now, the architecture that Railways built is back for a third series where we will see railway expert and train historian Tim Dunn exploring more stunning architecture that lines the railway network. And I'm pleased to say, to tell us all about the show, Tim joins us on the line. Tim, how are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. So tell us about the new series then. What can we expect?
Well, this is, as the past two series, just a glorious exploration of all those buildings, as you say, that line the railway networks of Britain and Europe. And it's about going into these places and looking at them with experts and saying, either like, why does it look like that? and why is it shaped like that? Why is it built that big or so small? Why is it that style? And then experts telling us, and then finding someone who goes, actually, I've got the keys, this old bit. Do you want to see in here? And it's uncovering all this stuff and us saying, have you got the keys to that tunnel over there? It's been blocked off for 40 years. Them going, oh yeah, we'll do that. So it's a way of getting to see stuff that perhaps you've never seen before or never seen it from this angle.
So you start off your journey in the northeast of England, don't you?
Yeah, we start off in Newcastle, actually, and we also go and look at Ayrshire in Scotland, Britain's tallest railway viaduct. We also go to Germany as well. So we crisscross places. So every episode is all quite random, different places. It's what fits in nicely with different stories. So it's not particularly a journey through any one place. It's finding across Europe where some of the best stories, the most intriguing facts and unusual buildings are that you might surprise you. And again, it's been done during COVID time. So we had restrictions on where we could travel, but we've been creative with that and clever with it and work out where could we go that was interesting and responsible. And also people go, oh, wow, I never heard of that before.
And you also visit viaducts and signal boxes, tunnels, and even railway hotels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so all over mainland Great Britain, we kind of looked at kind of all the different places. And again, it's saying, what's a railway building? And actually, it could be a signal box, which, you know, people are pulling levers and so on still, heritage railways, and I say hotels built by railway companies so that people could, you know, perhaps start their journey there a day earlier and they could make money from them, extra money from them by charging them for accommodation at the railway hotel. Why not do that? But even find towns that have been created entirely by the railway line. So we go to Saltburn by the Sea in North Yorkshire at one point, and that's a town built by the Stockton and Darlington Railway Company directors so that they could always make money from people going to and from the seaside, because it guaranteed them a seaside resort, and it guaranteed them rent, and it guaranteed them train tickets for generations to come of people going to the seaside. I mean, that is just brilliant. And even bits of the town are actually built from old bits of railway station building as well. So it's just this constant way of making money from people, I suppose, in the early years. I mean, so far, I must admit that the two places I want to come to, Northern Ireland, my partner is from near Ballynahinch, and so we haven't yet come across, because COVID times meant we couldn't come to Northern Ireland. It felt not responsible to do that. So serious for we'll come to you guys, but there's whole chunks of the UK like South Wales I know about. I know the buildings. I haven't yet told their story, because every town and village in this country has probably got a railway building in it, or some degree, or nearby, or within 5 miles. And so there's always something interesting to go and discover and uncover in these places.
Well, you have to come to Northern Ireland, because there are some fantastic old railway stations that aren't used anymore, and what they've done is they've turned the tracks into some fantastic walks, especially around the north coast, around Portrush and places like that.
Yeah, in Portrush, I mean, again, a wonderful town, again, sort of enabled by the railway, right? because people going to those days out with the Portrush Railway. In fact, I saw some lovely records about this and how people turned up to go to the Portrush Amusements, I think it was, down, and people turning up on the day tripper trains. It's just lovely. It's a lovely story. And again, it just shows just how much of our environment and our own shared heritage across, all of the Europe really has been bonded together by the railway lines. And they've taken us to places, and our cities and our towns and our experiences of families are there because of the railways. And this programme, I hope, perhaps uncovers some of that joy.
I want to talk to you about Scotland as well, because as a child I lived in a place called Helensburgh, and right behind our house we had the Highland Line running, so I used to see all these fabulous old trains going up and down all the time. And recently I've thought about taking a train journey around Scotland, and I know there's lots of routes you can take, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, again, Scotland lost its railway network, or lots of it, in the 1960s. Lots of it was taken away. But there's still a core infrastructure there, and they are some of the best routes in Britain to travel around. Honestly, I mean, again, the scenery is very much like Northern Ireland, of course, the western coast of Scotland. But to going across there and to Carlow-Loch-Alsh, for example, get in there off the ferry, going up the railway line, that route back up towards the Highland Line and then back up to Mallock is one of the greatest trips in Britain you can take. I mean, again, go midweek and the trains are fairly empty, even were before COVID, but the views are just astonishing. Get yourself a takeaway sandwich from a cafe in Carlow-Loch-Alsh and get yourself across there, just stunning. But you can get these Rover tickets now that are just sort of cheap tickets you can book all over the place and just hop around Scotland and stop off at at hotels on the way. That's a pretty good staycation. To explore Scotland by train, because you're not driving a car, and you're just leisurely going through landscapes over these wonderful viaducts, often in valleys where there are no roads, and you're seeing just these wonderful, wonderful places at a wonderful pace of life. I think Scotland, a great choice to go to for a railway holiday.
I have actually stayed in a fabulous railway hotel that overlooks the fabulous railway station in Glasgow. It's a lovely old hotel.
That's a great place to stay. You lucky man. That is fab. I was in there 2 years ago having gin and tonic. We had no idea COVID was coming, and I was sitting. I think this is the life. This is the life. I've made it to see here in this lovely hotel. It's a cracker, right? And see all these railway hotels around the country that still exist. Are now making stations a destination in their own right, I think, actually. And so you could well say, go to Glasgow Central Station, or Glasgow Queen Street Station, rather, and look at these places and enjoy them for what they are. Because here are the hotels, and you can enjoy them from a leisure perspective and not even use the trains. It's funny, it's because I'm a bit of a nerd, obviously, but a lot of my friends and I will often go and sit in St Pancras, and we'll go to the bars and restaurants there. Why? Because there are 6 great pubs in and around King's Cross and St Pancras. They're great places to go and be. Added attraction is, of course, they can hop on the train and go back home to their various homes around as well. I mean, that's the ultimate, right? Why not have all your pubs around railway stations?
So coming back to the new series then, where was the most impressive place you visited then?
I could say it could be Scotland. I could say the Ballochmyle Viaduct in northwest Scotland. Sorry, no, North Scotland, because that's Britain's tallest railway viaduct. Or I could say, actually, it's actually won in a few episodes' time, which is actually the London to Greenwich Railway Viaduct. And it's impressive because of why it is there, and it's still there, because it's actually London's first railway bridge, and it's actually still Britain's longest railway viaduct. It's made from 60 million bricks. I think that's impressive because it was built in 1836. So when there's all this area out towards Greenwich and Deptford, South London, and incidentally, I live almost next door to this viaduct. That's it every single day of my life. And it's there. Imagine you're 1836. You've never seen a train before, and it's nighttime. You're at a cottage outside Deptford in the fields by the farms, and you're sitting there, and this train goes over your rooftop, steaming and like a great devil coming across there. I mean, it must have scared you something rotten because you've never seen a train before in your life. You've never heard of them. You've never seen one in real life. And there it goes, 1836, over your rooftop, steaming back and forth. There are millions of people travelling over the next few years over these viaducts, built by hand, built brick by hand by thousands of navvies. And it's remarkable, right? And yet it is still doing that job today. It still runs over the rooftops of Deptford and Greenwich and London Bridge and up towards the city. And it still does that. And it still carries trains today, almost 200 years later. So it was terrifying people back then, but it did the right job. And it's still carrying trains, been enlarged and widened, but those still same bricks are still there carrying trains all this time afterwards and enabling London to be the powerhouse that it is. I think that's remarkable.
It is. Sounds brilliant. The architecture that the railways built is back on our TV screens. Where can we watch it?
On the Yesterday channel, and every Monday night on the Yesterday channel. It's also on UK TV Play app as well.
Fabulous. I'm going to watch it. Looking forward to it, Tim. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now the British Takeaway Awards 2021 have taken place at a star-studded ceremony in London this week. Good news for Northern Ireland because the best takeaway in Northern Ireland has been named as Manny's, and I'm pleased to say that the owner, Jane Adams, joins us now on the line. We really should have a big drum roll for this, but Jane, congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. We're absolutely delighted to be here in London and to receive the award on so many good takeaways in the north of Ireland. It's absolutely brilliant that we've been named number one. Brilliant.
So, I mean, it sounds like a fabulous evening. Take us through the night. What all happened then?
So we arrived around about 6:30, 6:45. We met a few people that we already know from the takeaway industry, and then we came in, met the guys from Pizza Guys, Bailey's, all the great chip shops and all the great pizza places in the north. And we went in, met John Barnes, a good friend of Michael Conlon, the wee boxer, Josh Kelly. He was there, so he has his own takeaway business also. So we went in. It was very star-studded. I was also joined by my young sister, who she's sitting over here, staying out of the way. But and then the meal was great. We were seated with a guy, girl and fella from Scotland, who were also in their regional as well. So they were brilliant as well. And it's just really good to get in contact with a lot of people who've given so much hard work over it and hearing their story over the last 18 months, but even further back than that and how long people have been in business for. So it was brilliant to get in and see it all. So it was absolutely class.
So I have to say, you seem very alive this morning, but was it a late night party?
Laura thought it was late night, but we were actually in bed for 12:15.
Wow.
It must have been good. Laura doesn't really remember being in bed at 12:15. She thought it was much later.
So what exactly does this award mean to you then?
Well, it means an awful lot to us. I think nobody has been untouched by the pandemic in the last 18 months, but further back than that, we had taken over Manny's on the Antrim Road in maybe 18 years ago. So we were through in at the deep end. We didn't know too much about it, but it's either you sink or you swim. So 18 years later, we have 3 fish and chip shops. We're newly now joined forces with Pizza Guys. We have a Pizza Guys also that we only opened during the pandemic. So for us, it's all about family. Our staff have been absolutely brilliant. We have staff working with us for the last 18 years, and even more so, our staff probably are the face of our business. We're so thankful to have them, and just so lucky to be in a position that we actually can employ people and that they give so much back to us. And we're in a great position that we have a good takeaway, and now we've been named number one, and you just can't beat that.
Exactly. Now, it must have been tough, though, during the pandemic, as for so many businesses. I would imagine you had to make lots of changes during the last 18 months.
I think that's what it was all about. It's about adapting. So as soon as it happened, our family is very, very close-knit. Our parents are brilliant and they give us great advice. Mummy and Daddy both said it's just how you adapt to it, and everybody's in the same boat. There's nobody that escaped the pandemic. So it's how you adapt and show your resilience and just keep fighting. And that's all everybody had to do. I think all of us were there. All of us had to go through it. So you weren't looking at yourself and thinking, oh, God love me. It's either you have to get in, stuck in and get on with it. And that's what we did. So hopefully now for everybody, we're coming in through the middle of it anyway and out the other side. And hopefully we'll all be better for it and a lot more stronger.
Now, I hear as well you do a lot of work within your local community as well, and you offered some financial help to the family of a young boy who was going through some life-saving treatment, didn't you?
Yeah. Again, because we've been on the Antrim Road for so long, these guys grew up with us. We were only kids when we went into it ourselves. So the parents now who are having children and any difficulties that they're going through, they've helped us out along the way. So it's only natural that you want to do your best for anybody. They supported us and we love to support people back. So the young guy that you're talking about he has come into money since he was born. His parents and then their grandparents and everybody has always went into money. So to be able to show our appreciation to them, and it's only natural and only right that we're in a position that we can help, so we were happy to do it.
I was in recently, and there's always a great atmosphere, and there's always a great kind of feeling among the staff in Manny's as well.
I think that's what we always. I've been part of a sporting team for most of my life, so I think we want to create the same feeling that you have within work. If you're happy in your work, we're laughing. So we are once our staff are happy. So being part of a team, obviously there's leaders in that team, but you're also everybody's part of a team, and I think that's where Laura and I thrive working as a team. So our staff are brilliant. There's a girl there, Michelle, who's worked for us for a long, long time, and she's just absolutely class up in Manny. She creates that wee bit of, whenever I'm not there or when Laura's not there, she creates the happiness that goes on in the Manny's team, and we're so thankful for her and for all the rest of the staff. They're brilliant.
I was in a couple of weeks ago, Jane, and I have to say your battered mushrooms are still as amazing as they always were.
Well, I recently got married, and I think my wife only married me for the battered mushrooms. No joking. She talks about them like, oh my God, those fluffy little mushrooms, they just bust in your mouth. She loves them, so I think that's the reason why she married me.
Oh, what a great story. I'm just back from Glasgow. I spent the weekend in Glasgow, and one of the places I always go into is a chippy over there called the Blue Lagoon, because they do the most amazing haggis supper. So I posted this on social media over the weekend, and loads of people got in touch with me and says we really should have haggis suppers here in Northern Ireland. So I've started a campaign to get a haggis supper in a chippy in Northern Ireland. Would you be up for that?
No problem. We're up for anything, definitely. 100%. We'll take on the haggis, no problem.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. You heard it first. We've started the campaign and it's gathering weight already. Jane, do you know what? It's been great talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your time in London. And once again, congratulations. The best in Northern Ireland.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Robin. It's brilliant to talk to you.
Best takeaway in Northern Ireland. Here we go. And the winners are... Manny's!
18 years of dedication at Manny's Fish and Chip Shop has started to pay off, with owners Laura and Jane winning several awards. Even before the pandemic, Manny's have prided themselves on supporting their community.
Manny's, everybody!
For me tonight, it's a family affair. I've been in business with my sister for the last 18 years. It hasn't been easy, but it hasn't been too hard either. So we live next door to each other. We're best friends. to be able to be coming here and getting these awards is absolutely incredible. I think to be able to be still in business in these times is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for voting us for the best takeaway in the north of Ireland. We are so happy that we were able to serve you in the pandemic. Thank you.
Garden where we made a promise to each other to return to Saint-Genis. And oh, how I loved you. We'll always have those summer garden where we made a promise to each other to return to Saint-Genis.
Now, 1 in 5 parents are uncomfortable talking to their child about bedwetting, a medical condition with psychological ramifications, also known as enuresis. The Boys Own's Keith Duffy, a dad of 2, thinks it's important to have these conversations and is encouraging other parents to do the same. So, Keith, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. I'm sitting at home in my house. I haven't been home for quite a while. I've been away on tour, away rehearsing and stuff. So I got a couple of days down off tour. So I got home late last night and the sun is shining in Dublin, as you can probably see behind me. And it's just nice to be home.
Fabulous. Okay, we're talking bedwetting today on the show, and you're encouraging parents to have the conversation about their children if it's something that affects their life. Tell us a bit about your experiences.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I'm just trying to reach out to other parents that might be struggling at the moment and letting them know that they're not on their own, that there's always plenty of help out there. If it's something they're concerned about. And I mean, talking to our children and having an honest and open relationship with our children is very important for many reasons. I mean, there's so many adolescents and teenagers today that have hang-ups and psychological issues over things that happened when they were children that they didn't speak about at the time. And there's no need for that in the environment that we live in today. You know, the generation of today are very open-minded people. My own experiences, I reared my beautiful daughter Mia, who's 21 now, and Mia has autism, as we know, and with autism and with children on the spectrum, potty training can take a lot longer than it can with your typically developing child. So, and bedwetting would be a problem within that as well. Myself, I'm the middle son of 3 boys, and obviously I had an older brother and a younger brother. And the reason that I can recollect the fact that I wet the bed until I think I was about 9 years of age was because my brothers made up a rhyming slang that was a jeer about the fact that I wet the bed, along with other things that they didn't like about me very much at the time. But it was all very naive. I was all very innocent, kind of joking and messing between brothers. But nevertheless, it did make me remember the fact that I had a bedwetting problem as a child.
Was it something you could have talked to your parents about?
Well, my parents were aware of it. I did speak to them about it, and they did what they could. But I mean, back then there wasn't the help around that there is today. I mean, one of the biggest reasons for me, which is probably not the most common reason, was that I was quite nervous of the dark. I was afraid of the dark, and in the house I grew up in was quite a small house, and a lot of houses that are built today would have an ensuite in the bedroom, so your bathroom is beside your bed, beside your bed. In the house I grew up in, I would have had to leave my bedroom, walk the landing to the communal bathroom that the family used, and I was always fearful that there might be burglars in the house that might beat me up or kidnap me or do those things that we panic about as children. So I was a very nervous child. So what would happen is I would feel the urge to need to use the toilet. I would wake up and I'd be afraid to leave my bed. I'd be obviously very tired, so I'd fall back asleep. And the urge to go to the toilet would still be there. And I think I'd actually dreamed that I'd got out of the bed, walked to the toilet, and whether I sat down or stood up, I would relieve myself, but 9 times out of 10, I'd still be lying in the bed and not in the bathroom at all. So that's how the bedwetting would happen for me, and that's bad enough. But if you're sharing a bed with your brother, it's not very nice for him either, you know. Exactly. And then there was the other factor that I haven't actually spoken about before. When you're at that age, 6, 7 years of age, there's often weekends where you get invited to have a sleepover at a friend's house over the weekend. And I remember at one of those sleepovers, I'm wetting the bed there as well. And I remember that being an horrendous experience, very embarrassed about the whole scenario, trying to disguise it or hide it or maybe even lie about it out of the fear of what possibly might happen. Now, nothing ever bad happened, obviously, but they're the concerns and the worries that a child would have at that age, you know.
So we've discovered that 1 in 5 parents find it difficult to talk to their children. You're encouraging parents just to go ahead and have that conversation, aren't you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's to talk to a child about anything that's taboo is not easy. But isn't it better that the parents talk to the child about it than somebody outside of the family? Going back to what I just said, you know, imagine you're having a sleepover and you're at the bed in your friend's house and your friend's mother finds out and tries to speak to you about it. I think kids would much prefer to speak to their own mother about it than their best friend's mother about it. Now that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I would imagine it to be. So yeah, absolutely. I'd always maintain that, you know, they're your children. You should have an open and honest relationship with them, and they should feel that they should be able to speak to you about anything, you know.
Well, Keith, thank you for being so open and honest with us. Now, at the start of the interview, you mentioned being away for rehearsals. Anything coming up that we should know about? Yeah, well, it's very exciting times. Myself and Brian McFadden from Westlife, we teamed up together about 5 years ago. We did an autobiographical tour about our experiences of over 25 years in the music business, but that's organically grown now into a group. We've recorded an album called Strings Attached with the Royal Philharmonic, an 84-piece orchestra. Wow. We re-recorded all our favourite Boyzone and Westlife songs. And we're actually in the studio now recording our first studio album. But we're on tour at the moment. We're playing every theatre and city hall from one end of the UK to the next. All the gigs that were postponed pre-pandemic, they're all back in the diary again now. Like I say, we call ourselves Boys Life, and we're on the road at the moment. I've got a couple of days back in Dublin before I'm back in Huddersfield on Thursday. Well, hopefully, Keith, we'll see you back in Belfast sometime soon. But of course, you're a regular visitor to the city here, and you always get a great reception when you come back, don't you? Belfast is one of my favourite places in the world. It really is. The way that the city has been built up now, the Quarter Cathedral, or the Cathedral Quarter, should I say. I mean, the bars, the restaurants, it's just, honest to God, I spend a lot of time in Belfast, and I just think the options that you guys have for whatever you want to do up there now, you're spoiled for choice. And yeah, like you say, I'm always very well celebrated and welcomed in Belfast and in the north of Ireland. In fact, our very, very first concert back from the pandemic was a big open show in Derry. And it was a huge success with Joe Gallagher up there. And it was a great night to come back with the full live band, big open, live open air show. And the reception we got was phenomenal. So it won't be that long before we're back performing in Belfast again. And of course, quite a few years ago, we had the pleasure of working on the Big Buzz Irish Entertainment Awards. Yeah, I remember the very, very first one. I think I won a couple actually that night, but I don't think they were for very important reasons. I think I was hosting the show, so they made up a couple of categories just to give me an award. But I remember it, and I also remember the great man Barry O'Kane, who originated the awards, and his good lady wife, and we lost Barry a few years back. So just to keep Barry's memory alive as well. Well, Keith, hopefully we'll see you back in Belfast sometime very soon. Good to talk to you as always, and thank you for doing this. Thank you for your time. Take good care.